So we're starting with Business AS Level for Cambridge, Chapter 1, Enterprise. When we talk about an enterprise is simply an undertaking that is risky. So what are we trying to say here? We're simply trying to say that an enterprise is a business activity. It involves businesses and, well, businesses are involved. It means it's risky. So whatever activity you do, whatever you undertake for the purpose of making a gain, is an enterprise, and that is what simply business means. So we're going to go through the nature of a business activity. Business activity aims to satisfy people's need, and in order to do this, it requires resources. So businesses operate in a constantly changing world, but the purpose of business owners and managers remain the same, to add value. And when you add value, it simply means it gives customers the reason for wanting to buy our products, and that is the essence of any business activity. Thank you. So, for the purpose for the purpose of business activity, so I'm going to start with the purpose of business activity. It said, a business is an organization that uses resources to meet the needs of customers by providing a product or service that they demand. There are several stages in the production of finished goods. Business activity at all stages involve adding value to resources, such as raw materials, and making them more desirable to and valued by the final purchaser. Without business activity, we would all be entirely dependent on the goods that we could make or grow ourselves, as some people in virtually undiscovered native communities still are. Business activity uses the scarce resources of our planet to produce goods and services that allow us all to enjoy a much higher standard of living than would otherwise be possible if we remained entirely self-sufficient. So we have an enterprise. An enterprise allows the undertaking of a project, which means we are going to use different resources to provide goods and services that become desirable for consumers to buy. So that is the essence of any business activity. We add value, and as soon as we add value to meet the needs of customers, and as soon as customers feel or believe that their needs can be met, then they wouldn't have any other reasons not to buy. So that is the purpose of business activity. We add value, and when you talk about adding value, is the difference between what? The selling price and the cost price of a product. So what we put together in terms of the factors of production that allows us to be able to sell, that is what business activity is involved. So what do businesses do? One, business identify the needs of customers. So as a business, what they try to do is they understand, they look out for the gap in the market, and as soon as they understand the gap in the market, they ensure that they provide goods or services to fill in that gap. That is when they identify the need of customers. They purchase necessary resources to allow production to take place. Now that the needs of customers are identified, the next stage is to provide those needs. And to provide those needs, they need to put up resources together. These are inputs to produce those goods. And the last one is they produce goods and services which satisfy customer needs, usually with the aim of making a profit. The first stage of a business is to identify what customers will need to buy, what customers want to buy, what is missing in the market. As soon as businesses identify that, the next stage is for them to provide or produce those goods. And to produce those goods, they need to put all factor inputs together. And as soon as they are put together, then they go through processing to bring us what we call output, which is the provision of goods and services to satisfy the needs and wants of customers, to enable businesses to also make profits. So business activity exists to produce goods or services that meet the needs of customers. Many of these customers will be consumers who purchase consumer goods and consumer services. Most of the time, businesses produce goods and services for consumers, and also they can produce there's what we call B2B and B2C. But mostly, businesses produce goods and services for consumers, the final user. And this is what we call consumer goods and consumer services for consumers. So, to provide goods and services, a business needs the factors of production. And when we talk about factors of production, we're talking about resources that we put together to ensure that resources that are put together to give us the needed goods or services. So factors of production are resources that helps in the provision of production of goods and services. And what are those factors of production? We have the 4 factors of production. We have land. And when we talk about land, here it's written, they said, this general term includes not only land itself, but all the renewable and non-renewable resources of nature, such as coal, crude oil, and timber. So basically, when we talk about land, we're simply talking about anything on land. So natural resources, renewable or non-renewable. So in as much as it's on land, it is land. That is land is a factor of production, which is also important. Without land, we can't talk about having premises. Without land, we can't talk about building offices, building facilities. We can't do that without land. Then we have labor. When we talk about labor, they wrote manual and skilled labor make up the workforce of the business. So when we talk about labor, we're talking about the physical and mental effort of human that helps in the production of goods and services. So we're simply talking about the employees, the workforce. Without the employees, we can't talk about having a business. So labor is also important when it comes to the production of goods or provision of services. Then we have capital. This is not just the finance needed to set up a business and pay for its continuing operations, but also all manufactured resources used in production. So this includes capital goods such as computers, machines, factories, offices, and vehicles. So for capital, we're not talking only about money. We're not talking about the financial aspect of it. We're simply talking about resources that helps to provide other resources, which we call human resources, like computer, factories, offices, vehicles. All these things are needed, are important in the provision of goods and services. Then we have the enterprise itself. An enterprise, this is initiative and coordination provided by risk-taking individuals called entrepreneurs. They combine the other factors of production into a unit capable of producing goods and services. Enterprise provide the managing, decision-making, and coordinating roles. So we have an enterprise. An enterprise is more like the office of an entrepreneur. So, and we have an entrepreneur who is the risk taker, an individual who has taken the risk to set up a business with the aim of making profit. So we can't provide a good or we can't produce a good or provide the service without having the enterprise. And with the enterprise, here comes the entrepreneur who organizes all the other factors of production to be able to provide the goods and services required by customers. So these are the four factors of production needed for any business activity. So that takes us forward. So it's a business excuse me, please. So we have resources needed by businesses, which are land, capital, labor, and enterprise. And for those things, for land, we have site for buildings, which means anything on land is still land. Raw materials is being extracted from land. Then for capital, we have finance, which is money used in business. Factories, offices, which simply means the place of work. We have equipment, machines, which are also part of capital. Then customers, they need the resources. Suppliers also need the resources. Labor, these are the people that try to come up with the uses of the resources. They are the ones in charge of operations. Then we have the enterprise. Then we have the capital, which is the equipment I talked about that. Then government. When we talk about government, we're talking about the institution that puts law and order together, the institution that provides the public goods, the institution that provides also the merit goods, like school and colleges. Then for labor, we have the skilled workers, which are those that are educated. We have permanent workers, which are full-time employees. We have unskilled workers who don't go to who don't have certificate. Their strength is in the physical effort, and we have the temporary workers who might not have the same opportunity or benefit, that do not get the same benefit as full-time workers. And then for enterprise, we're talking about the risk takers, the entrepreneurs. We're talking about coordinators as they put all resources into get together, and they are the decision makers because they are entrepreneurs. It's their money, and they have to decide on how to use it. So that takes us to the concept of adding value. All businesses aim to create value by producing goods and services and selling them for a higher price than the cost of bought-in materials, which is called added value. So there's added value because that is the difference between the selling price and the cost of producing the product. So if a customer is prepared to pay a price that is greater than the cost of material used to produce a good or service, then the business has been successful in adding value. So the difference between the selling price of the product sold by a business and the cost of the material that is bought in is called the added value. So without adding value, a business will not be able to survive as other costs have to be paid, and the people investing in the business also expect a financial return. If a business is able to successfully sell a product higher than its cost of production. That is an added value. And it is important for a business to always add value, because if it's able to add value, it will be able to sustain its business, it will be able to continuously run the business, and also be able to share profits or returns to the owners of the business. So that is why added value is always important for a business. So there's a case study about adding value here, which we don't need to talk about. So we'll move on. We'll go to economic activity and the problem of choice. We live in a world of great wealth and great scarcity. People with lower levels of income are unable to obtain the basic requirements of life: food, clean water, shelter, which we call the basic needs. They have many unsatisfied needs and wants. Even rich people may not be able to satisfy all of their wants for luxury goods and services. There are insufficient goods to satisfy all our needs and wants at any one time, at any point in time. So this is known as the economic problem. So basically, the main economic problem is scarcity. And when we talk about scarcity, we're talking about limited resources and unlimited wants. So the purpose of economic activity is to provide for as many of our wants as possible. Yet we are still left wanting more. So there's the need to desire for more. And that is why our needs, our wants are always unlimited. So these shortages of products and the limited supply of resources needed to make them force us to make choices. As we cannot satisfy all our wants, we must choose those which will satisfy us now and those which we are prepared to give up. If we are careful and rational, we will choose those things that give us the greatest benefits, leaving out those things that provide less value to us. So this needs to choose is not exclusive to people as consumers. All economic decision makers have to make choices: government, businesses, workers, charities, and so on. So because we are living in a world where there's scarcity, so it means we have to make decisions, we have to make choices. And in the course of making choices, we have to think, in the course of making choices, we have to make choices that best suits our satisfaction for now, and let go of others that we cannot, or that cannot satisfy us presently. So that takes us to what we call opportunity cost. So when we talk about opportunity cost, here they wrote, this need to choose the goods we want leads to the important principles of opportunity cost. In deciding to purchase or obtain one item, we must give up other goods as they cannot all be afforded. So the next most desired product, which is given up, becomes the lost opportunity or opportunity cost. So this concept exists for all economic decision makers, which are consumers, businesses, and government. So there's opportunity cost because our next alternative is forgone. So we have two choices to make. The choice that we did not make, the next choice that we did not make is what we call opportunity cost. And this will always happen whenever we need to take or make economic decisions. So we go to the dynamic business environment itself. Setting up a new business is risky because the business environment is dynamic. That means it's constantly changed over time. In addition to the problems and challenges referred to below, there's also the risk of change, which can make the original business idea much less successful. This problem can be made worse if the business plan is too inflexible to deal with changes. So most of the time, businesses fail because they are inflexible. They are unable to adapt to the change that is required for survival. To be relevant, you need to be able to adapt. That is the point about inflexibility of businesses, and that is one of the reasons why businesses do fail. So we're going to check each one at a time. The first one, changes in the business environment include: one, new competitors. And when we talk about new competitors, we're talking about the existence of new rivals. If a business is unable to adapt or to adjust its ways to ensure that its competitors it's able to compete with its competitors, and before it knows it, it's out of the business. Legal changes, we're talking about maybe safety regulations or new laws. These things are external factor which a business must find a way to adapt into. If a business is unable to do that, then it might be out of the business, or it might be out of the market, or continue to pay fines, which will reduce its profitability and even damage its reputation. Economic changes. The economic changes that leave customers with less money to spend. There are economic situations that reduces income level for customers. And if income level of customers fall, their ability to buy would reduce. Their willingness to buy would reduce. As a result of that, businesses must continuously find a way to ensure that their customers do not leave. They have to find a way to encourage their customers to buy. Without doing that, they might be losing out customers. Technological changes. Technology makes things to become better and faster. And with dynamism, in a dynamic world, every now and then we're going to have the latest technology, which will bring about, efficiency. So technological changes that make the products or processes of the new business outdated. So if a business is unable to financially, if a business is financially incapable to adapt to latest technology, it will be falling behind and its competitors will continue to go ahead or move further ahead of it. So there are many other examples of changes indicating that the business environment is very dynamic. This can make owning and operating a business quite risky. So the changing business environment is a major reason why some businesses succeeded and why others fail. Like I said earlier, the dynamic business environment is a major cause of change within business. So it is important for a business, it is important for entrepreneurs to make decisions that would allow them the adaptability, that would allow them the sustainability of their operations if they really want to continue to be relevant within the industry. And for them to do this, it means they have to be flexible to adapt to any changes that might occur, both external or internal. So why do some businesses succeed? We're going to why do some businesses succeed. These are the main reasons why some businesses thrive and achieve success in meeting their objectives. One, good understanding of customer needs. Customers are king. Why do we call them king? We call them king because without customers, we won't be able to, without customers, we don't even sell our products. So whatever we do, it has to satisfy their needs. So we need to understand our customers because they are the ones that our sales target is all about. So yeah, they got good understanding of customers leads to sales targets being achieved. So when you understand your customers, it allows them, it means you know them well and they know you well and they can trust you. And that might create even a brand loyalty or customer loyalty. And that would allow a business to achieve its sales target. Two, efficient management of operations. If the managers are efficient enough, it means they'll be able to keep costs low and that could give them a competitive advantage over their competitors. Flexible decision making to adapt to new situations. This allows investment in new businesses opportunity. So the flexibility of decision making can also be a yardstick for a business to succeed. And the last one, appropriate and sufficient sources of finance. Cash flow. Cash flow is also important. Without cash, because cash is the lifeblood of any business. So without cash, it might be difficult for a business to continuously run its day-to-day activity. So that's why, so these are the reasons why a business will succeed. A business must understand, a business must have a good understanding of its customers if it needs to meet up its sales target. A business must have managers that are efficient. That means they are able to reduce wastage and are able to reduce or minimize costs as low as possible. Businesses must have flexibility when making decisions, and they must be able to have a cash flow that would sustain their operations. So why do some businesses fail? Success in business is never certain. This is particularly true when starting up a new venture. The following are the most common reasons why new businesses fail. Most of these reasons are also apply to failure of established businesses. Business failure occurs when a business is unable to So why do businesses fail? One of the reasons why a business could fail is because of poor record keeping. So the lack of accurate record is a common reason for business failure. Many small companies fail to pay sufficient attention to record keeping. They either believe in it, they either believe it is less important than meeting customers' needs or think they can remember everything. For example, how can the owner of a new business, of a new busy florist shop, remember when the next delivery of a fresh flower is due? So basically, what we're talking about is this. When you don't have records, it becomes difficult for a business or it becomes difficult for even your workers to keep track of past events. And if you don't keep track of past events, it might affect your business. So with the falling cost of computing powers, most businesses, even new startups, keep records on computer. It is always advisable to also keep hold of paper records, such as receipts from suppliers or details of big deliveries. Paper records act as a check or backup system if a computer should fail. So these records can also provide evidence to the tax authorities if they dispute the company's own tax calculation. So mostly, it is important to keep records because without records, it becomes difficult to keep track of events, to keep track of your stakeholders. And if you cannot keep track of your stakeholders, then there might be a business failure. The second reason is lack of cash, insufficient cash. Running short of cash so that day-to-day business operation becomes difficult is the most significant reason for the failure of businesses. Many new businesses fail to survive the first year of operation due to the lack of cash. Cash is the lifeblood of any business. So most of the startup businesses their inability to keep hold or to have a flow of cash makes them to struggle, and before they know it, they are out of business. Finance is needed for day-to-day cash, for the holding of inventories, and to give trade credits to customers who then become debtors. Without this working capital, the business will be unable to buy more supplies, pay suppliers, or offer credit to important customers. All these factors could lead to the business closing down. So finance is a disbursement of cash. Without finance, businesses will not be able to hold on to inventories. They won't be able to give trade credit to customers. They won't even be able to pay their suppliers or offer credit to important customers. And if you are unable to offer credit to important customers, they leave your business, they feel their trust is being betrayed. And as a result of that, they might leave you for your competitors. So all these factors might lead to a business closing down or shutting down. Cash flow problems can be reduced so what are the ways in which a business can reduce its cash flow problem? Number one, a cash flow forecast is made and kept up to date. The cash needs of the business can be assessed month by month. So the first method of reducing cash flow problem is to make a cash flow forecast, which can be updated regularly. So that will allow a business to know the estimated cash inflow and the estimated cash outflow on, maybe on monthly basis. Two, sufficient capital is injected into the business at startup, allowing it to operate during the first months when cash flow from customers may be slow to build up. At the initial stage of the business, it is important to inject enough capital into the business because that would allow the business to flow even when sales are still in the earliest stage. Three, good relations are established with the bank so that short-term cash problems will be financed with an overdraft extension. So what's an overdraft here? We're simply talking about a credit facility which allows a bank customer to withdraw more than its available credit balance. So if a business is able to establish or to create a good relationship or rapport with its banks, it might be able to find short-term finances like overdraft. And the last one, there's effective credit control over customers' accounts to make sure they pay on time. Keeping up to date with credit customers, ensuring credit customers pay on time, and that could also allow sufficient cash flow for the business. The third reason why a business might fail is poor management skills. Most entrepreneurs have had some form of work experience, but not necessarily at management level. They may not have developed skills in leadership and decision making, cash handling and cash management, planning, coordinating and communication, marketing, promotion, and selling. So most of the entrepreneurs, they might have work experience, but they may lack managemental skills, they might lack cash handling skills, they might lack coordination, they might lack marketing skills. And if all these things are missing and they are unable to find or employ skilled workers or skilled managers in this aspect, the business might fail because it's all about making decisions. Entrepreneurs are often enthusiastic, willing to work hard, and have abilities in their choosing field. However, these qualities alone will rarely be enough to ensure success. Yes, they have the characteristics to become an entrepreneur, but there are skills required for the business to succeed. An entrepreneur opening a restaurant might be an excellent chef, but may lack management skills. Some entrepreneurs may manage to learn management skills very quickly once their business is up and running, but this can be a risky strategy. To minimize the risk, a new entrepreneur could gain management experience beforehand through employment or obtain advice and training from a specialist organization offering management support. Alternatively, some entrepreneurs buy in experience by employing people with management experience. However, as this can be expensive, many newly formed businesses cannot afford this option. So there are different choices that could be made. But one thing is certain, without managemental skills, it might be difficult for entrepreneurs to really succeed. So we go to local, national, and international businesses. Why do we call them local businesses? We call them local businesses because they operate in a small, well-defined part of a country. Their owners often do not aim to expand, so do not make attempts to attract customers across the whole country. Typical examples are small building and carpentry firms, single branch shops, hairdressing businesses, and child-minding services. All these are local businesses and they are restricted to some geographical location. Then we have the national businesses. They have branches and operations across the country. They make no attempt to establish operation in other countries. They are not thinking about going international. They just want to work within the national boundary. Good examples include large car retailing firms, retail shops with branches in just one country, and national banks. Then when we talk about international businesses, we're talking about businesses that sells their products outside the shore of the country. So yeah, they wrote. International businesses sell products in more than one country. This may be done by using foreign agents or online selling. So that's international business. Then we have multinational businesses. For multinational businesses, they operate in more than one country. So that means they have an established base for either producing or selling products outside their own domestic economy. So that takes us to the role of entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. A new business idea might have the best available land and labor and be well financed, which is capital. But without the enthusiasm and creativity of an entrepreneur or intrapreneur, it will almost certainly fail. So the new business idea, you might have a new business idea, you might have land available, labor available, capital available, but without creativity, without entrepreneurial skills, a business might not be successful. So new business ventures started by entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs can be based either on an innovative product idea or on a new way of offering a service. These ventures can be a new location for an existing business idea or an attempt to adapt a product in ways that no one else has tried before. So the role of entrepreneurs in the ongoing success of a business is considered later in the section. So the role of entrepreneur when creating and starting up a new business is to one. So we have entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, they come up with a business idea and that is what they sell. Understanding that there's a gap in the market, create an idea from that gap that is being noticed and wanting to sell. That is what entrepreneurs they do. So when creating and starting up a new business, they need to understand one, they need to have an idea for a new business. Create a business plan. That means they need to make a plan. A plan allows a business to know the end from the beginning. Invest some of their own savings and capital. That means it has to start with your own hard-earned money as an entrepreneur. Accept the responsibility of managing the business. They must be up and doing, and they must take responsibility. They must take charge. They must make decisions. Accept the possible risk of failure. In as much as you're starting the business, there's possibility that the business will fail. So all these are things that entrepreneurs must put into consideration when setting up or creating a new business. Qualities of successful entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. It is not easy to start up a successful new business. The personal qualities and skills needed to make a success of a new business venture include one. First, for a successful entrepreneur, you must have innovation. You must be innovative, and that's innovation. The entrepreneur does not have to be an inventor in the traditional sense, but they must be able to identify and fill a gap in the market, attract customers in innovative ways, and promote their business as being different from others in the same market. This requires original ideas and an ability to do things differently. This is a skill of innovation. So an entrepreneur must be innovative, and being innovative simply means you find a better way of doing things compared to those of your competitors. Two, commitment and self-motivation. It is hard work to set up and manage a new business. It may take up many hours of each day. That may take time, energy, focus, the willingness to work hard, to be keen, and to have the ambition to succeed are all essential qualities of a successful entrepreneur. So another quality of a successful entrepreneur is hardworking, which is commitment and self-motivation. It will be difficult if an entrepreneur is not self-motivated and committed. The business will not succeed. The third one, leadership skill. If the business has employees, the entrepreneur must lead by example and will have to have a personality that encourages and motivates those workers. An entrepreneur must be a leader. And when we talk about a leader, we're talking about an individual who tells us what to do, guide us on how to do it to achieve a set of goals. So whatever an entrepreneur must do, he or she must be that individual that can carry along its subordinates, that can carry along its employees. Self-confidence and ability to bounce back. That means being optimistic and never give up attitude. So many business startup fails. Yet this would not discourage a true entrepreneur who would have such belief in themselves and their business idea that they would be able to bounce back from any setback. So an entrepreneur should be that individual that have that never die attitude. So whenever they fail, they want to bounce back, they want to come back up. The risk taking. An entrepreneur must be willing to take risk in order to see results. Often the risk they take is by investing their own savings in the new business. So as an entrepreneur, you must be willing to put your own hard-earned money into the business. So that takes us to barriers to entrepreneurship. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, we are simply talking about the process of creating, developing, and managing a business venture, often involving, significant risk and innovation to generate profit or value. That is what entrepreneurship is about. So what are the reasons why what are the hindrance of being able to innovate and generate profit? Why is it difficult for people to venture into businesses? Number one, lack of business opportunity. Identifying successful business opportunity is one of the most important stages in becoming an effective entrepreneur. So the original idea for most new businesses come from one several sources, including one, an entrepreneur's own skill or hobbies, such as dressmaking or car body work repairing. Previous employment experience, franchising conference and exhibition offering a wide range of new business startups ideas, small budget market research. So what we're talking about is one of the reasons why it might be difficult to start up a business is because we lack the business opportunity. We don't, most of the business opportunity we have, most of the business mindset comes from your own skill as an individual, your past experience at workplace, the opportunity in the market that brings about franchising or little market research. Without all this information, it might be difficult to start up a business. So many new enterprises are set up in the following industries, often because of the entrepreneur's own skills and the small sum of capital required. So most of the time, that's why these are the popular these are the popular businesses available based on the fact that they involve crafts like fishing, market gardening, jewelry, building trades, hairdressing, computer repairs, cafes and restaurants, child minding. These are small businesses that are always going to be available with or without information. Two, obtaining sufficient cash. Another reason why we might find difficulty when starting up a business or becoming an entrepreneur is because we lack finance. So in an International Labour Organization survey of new business startups, most entrepreneurs said that lack of finance was their main difficulty. So why is obtaining finance such a major barrier for entrepreneurs? This could be due to one, insufficient saving. One of the reasons why lack of finance could be a major setback is because entrepreneurs do not have sufficient cash that they have saved in the bank. And if they don't have savings, it simply becomes difficult for them to use their savings to start up a business. They have limited personal savings. Two, no knowledge of the financial support and grants available. Some entrepreneurs are unable to understand, they lack information. There's information gap on how to source for finance, and that could also, or grants, that might also hinder their starting up businesses. Three, no trading record to present to banks or as evidence of past business success. They don't have enough evidence to show to banks that they are not high risk, and that reduces the opportunity of getting loans from the bank. A poor business plan that fails to convince potential investors of the chances of a business success. Also, their business plan is not convincing, and if your business plan is not convincing, investors will not want to buy into the idea. So that's the second reason why it's difficult to start up a business. The third one, cost of good location. Where finance is limited, an expensive location should not be considered. It is important to keep the level of output at which revenue covers all costs as low as possible. This increases the business chances of survival. Operating from home is the most common way for entrepreneurs to establish their business. This keeps costs low, but there are drawbacks. Another reason why it becomes difficult for entrepreneurs is because they lack the financial capability to set up in good locations. And if you cannot set up in a good location, it reduces your chances of making huge revenues. And most of the time, businesses they try to keep their costs low, they start their business from home. But what are the problems when you start your business from home? Number one, it may not be close to the area with the biggest market potential. When you start your business from your own house, it simply means you might be far away from your potential customers, and that might hinder your sales. Two, it lacks status. A business that is set up from home does not have that, cannot generate confidence, cannot be seen as an office environment. As a result of that, customers might not, it doesn't give it doesn't give a concrete impression to customers that it's a it's it's a serious business because it's from home. Three, it may cause family tensions. Family members are always going to be surrounding and available in the surroundings or available at that time, and your operations might be creating unnecessary chaos to the family, to the family environment, and that hinders sales too. And lastly, it can be difficult to separate private life from working life because your business is set up at home. It might be difficult for you to to make it an entity. You might not be able to separate the family time and the work time from the family time. So new businesses that offer a consumer service need to consider their location carefully. A website designer could operate from home very effectively as communication with customers will be by electronic means. But the hairdresser may need to obtain premises in an area with the biggest number of potential customers. So location is also important. Another reason why it becomes difficult for a business or for entrepreneurship is competition. Competition is the rivalry that exists between firms that are ready to sell to the same customers in the same market. So a newly created business will often experience competition from established businesses with greater resources and market knowledge. The entrepreneur may therefore have to offer a more unusual product or better customer service to overcome the low cost advantages that bigger businesses usually have. So competition, as a new business, you have to face fierce competition from existing rivals. And because they are in existence before your own presence, it simply before your own existence, it simply means they have knowledge about the market. They would have been operating on a larger scale. And for you to outbeat all this, it might take a lot of effort. And that might also discourage entrepreneurship. The last one, lack of customer base. A new business must establish itself in the market and build up customer numbers quickly to survive. The long-term success of the business will depend on encouraging customers to return to purchase products repeatedly. Good customer service could be provided by one, personal customer service, knowledge pre and after sales service, supplying one-off customer requests that large firms may be reluctant to provide. So lack of customer base. Customers are kingpin of any business. So without having a customer base, then it becomes difficult for a business to survive. So a new startup business needs to find a way to attract customers, to gain the trust of customers, and not just gaining the trust of customers, making sure that they return customer loyalty if the business really wants to survive. And for that to happen, a business must, be able to offer personal customer service, must ensure that it gives pre and after sales services, and check into the niche check into what other large businesses are unable to do by providing them for your customers. And this might create a customer loyalty. So this takes us to business risk and uncertainty. There are some differences between business risk and business uncertainty. All business decisions involve risk. So business decisions involve risk. For example, there is a chance that a new business selling clothes will fail. If in the last 12 months, 10 clothing retailers have been established in a city and 3 fail by the end of the year, the risk of failure was 30%. A new entrepreneur could possibly reduce the risk of the new clothing business failing by studying why these 3 businesses did not survive. This would allow the entrepreneur to reduce business risk by avoiding the errors made by the failed businesses. Business plan, okay, is used to reduce. So business risk simply means it's risk because it is calculative. It's risk because you can find a way around it. It is risk because it can be measurable, it can be reduced. But for uncertainty, it is different. Uncertainty cannot be foreseen. It cannot be measured or calculated. So Plans may be made by entrepreneurs for the future, but some events will always be unforeseen and impossible to predict, like the COVID of 2020. So these are external things that it's unpredictable and it's uncalculative. For risk, you can measure it, you can afford it, you can avoid it. But for uncertainty, it is difficult, and most of the time, businesses might not survive as a result of uncertainty. So that is the difference between risk and uncertainty. Risk is measurable, it's calculative. Uncertainty is unforeseeable. It is beyond the control of the business. So that takes us to the role of enterprise in the country's economic development. What are the roles? What are the importance of having businesses in economic development? Number one, all governments use policies that aim to encourage more people to become entrepreneurs. What are the claimed benefits to an economy from successful business enterprise? One, employment creation. When businesses are successful, they will create job opportunity because they'll be able to operate on a larger scale. And being able to operate on a larger scale allows them to employ more workers. So let's read. Employment creation. In setting up a new business, an entrepreneur is employing not only themselves, but also very often employing other people too. And that reduces unemployment. These workers can include family members or friends. When a new business creates jobs, the national level of unemployment will fall. If the business survives and expands, additional jobs are created in suppliers, businesses. So one of the advantage or one of the role of entrepreneurship is that it creates employment opportunity. The second one, economic growth. An increase in output of goods and services from a startup business will increase the gross GDP of a country, and this is called economic growth. If enough small businesses are created, the economic growth will lead to increased living standards for the population. Increased output and consumption will also result in higher tax revenue for the government. Another role of entrepreneurship is that it increases output. And if output increases, the gross domestic product of the economy would increase. And this will bring about improvement in the living standards of the population. The third role of entrepreneurship is that it brings about business survival and growth. Although a high proportion of startups fail, some survive and a few expand to become very important businesses. These businesses will employ large numbers of workers, boost economic growth, and take the place of businesses that may be in decline or closing due to changing consumer tastes or technology. In Trinidad and Tobago, the decline of the sugar industry has been balanced out by the growth of the tourist industry. Tourism has itself been boosted by small guest house owners becoming entrepreneurs. So business survival and growth. So new businesses will come up to take over old businesses, and these will bring about a feeling of impact within the economy. The next important role of entrepreneurship is that it brings about innovation and technological advancement. New businesses can be very innovative. This creativity adds dynamism to an economy. Creativity can stimulate other businesses and help to make the nation's business sector more competitive. Many new business startups are in the technological sector, the IT service. They provide to other businesses can help. Services they provide to other businesses can help industries in the country become more advanced in IT application and therefore more competitive. With entrepreneurship, especially in IT, it makes businesses to be more competitive, and it also improves the economic situation. Exports. With an increasing output, it means a country will be able to do more of exportation, and that would improve its balance of payments, current account. Personal development. Starting and managing a successful business can aid in the development of useful skills and help an individual towards self-actualization. So starting a business can be seen as self-actualization. It simply means an individual becomes the best version of him or herself. And that's another importance of entrepreneurship. And the last one is increased social cohesion. Unemployment often leads to serious social problems, and this can be reduced if there's a successful and expanding small business sector. By creating jobs and career opportunities and by setting a good example for others to follow, entrepreneurship can help to achieve social cohesion. All social vices can be reduced when there's employment opportunity. So that takes us to the role of entrepreneurship. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, we're talking about individual employees that are acting in a way to give business ideas to their employers. So consider this question: do enterprise creativity and innovation end once a startup business has become successful? If they do, then the business will fail to adapt to new conditions and create new opportunities. Is there any scope for the qualities and characteristics of successful entrepreneurs to be used within the existing business? That's the question. Many successful businesses allow people to take risks and show initiative, just as entrepreneurs do, even when the business is established. Large companies face many problems in rapidly changing economic times. Businesses must be innovative and need to keep their best managers. Rapid advances in technology allow new business startups to disrupt existing markets and business operations. The attraction of entrepreneurship can lead to many dynamic employees, leaving a business that does not encourage them to be creative. Hence, the development of entrepreneurship. This is the process of encouraging risk-taking and enterprise by employees within a business to help create and develop new opportunities. Like I said earlier, for a business to continuously succeed, it needs the involvement of intrapreneurs. And who are these entrepreneurs? The employees. Allow your businesses or entrepreneurs must allow their employees. Employers must allow their employees to be creative and encourage them to be risk takers. If not, they might leave your organization. So entrepreneurs is the term given to people who have the same qualities as entrepreneurs and are encouraged to demonstrate the same skills as entrepreneurs within an existing business. So what are the key differences between entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs? One, for entrepreneurs, they start up the business, but for entrepreneurs, they come up with developing an innovative product or innovative service that for existing businesses. For risk, entrepreneurs, they take the risk. But for the businesses, for intrapreneurs, the risk is taken by the business. And the rewards is to the entrepreneurs and the rewards is also to the business. So what are the benefits of entrepreneurship to existing businesses? One, injecting creativity and innovation into the business. So by having entrepreneurs, it simply means you are developing new products to increase sales or creating exciting ways of selling your existing products. Two, developing new ways of doing businesses. Entrepreneurs will come up with creativity in solving problems such as low efficiency, which can be more successful than continue to use the old ways. Driving innovation and change within the business. Generating excitement within the business about new opportunity makes changes more acceptable. These are what entrepreneurs will do. Creating a competitive advantage or competitive edge by developing more innovative products. And so entrepreneurs might come up with new business ideas that would give the business a competitive advantage over its competitors. Encouraging original thinkers and innovators to stay in the business. When you allow entrepreneurs in your business, it simply means you are encouraging them to be thinkers, and that might allow you to have a edge over your competitors. So we are going to the last note on enterprise. So the purpose and key elements of a business plan. Why do we call it a business plan? We call it a business plan because it gives us a view about the operations of the business, what its objectives are, and what is expected of it in the future time. Without some evidence that entrepreneurs have thought about and planned for the future, it is unlikely that bankers, venture capitalists, or potential shareholders will invest money in a new business. An effective business plan provides this evidence. And what are the main elements of a typical business plan? One, executive summary. This is an overview of the new business and its strategies. When we talk about the executive summary, we're talking about how the operations of the business wants to be and the strategies, the plans, the strategies and the impact the business will bring to the society. Description of the business opportunity. Details of entrepreneurial skills, experience, nature of the product, the target market at which the product is aimed. So when we talk about the description of the business opportunity, we're simply talking about the opportunity in the market based on the skills, based on the experience, based on the product that the business is about to sell. Marketing and sales strategy, how the business is planning to sell its products to customers and to be able to ensure that it sells more than its competitors. Management team and personnel, the individuals that are going to be working with the business, it also should be part of the plan. Operations, the premises that has to be used, the facility and the IT systems. Then the financial forecast, the method of cash flow, the profit analysis, how it is expected to make profit and how it's expected to pay back if there are loans for the business. So what are the benefits of a business plan? Without, it is said, if you fail to plan, it means you are planning to fail. So it is important to have a business plan anyway. So business plans are most important when setting up a new business. The main purpose of a business plan for a new business is to obtain finance for the startup. Potential investors or creditors will not provide finance unless Details about the business proposal have been written down clearly. And not just written down clearly, it's convincing. So the business planning process provides essential evidence to investors and lenders. It makes the application more likely to be successful. Business planning also forces the owner to think seriously about the proposal, its strengths, and any potential weaknesses. So with a business plan, it allows the owners of the business to also see the end from the beginning and understanding what the weakness and the strength of the business is about. It gives owners and managers a clear plan of action to guide their actions and decisions in the early months and years of the business. With a business plan, it gives managers and directors the opportunity or the way through which they have to act in operations. So what are the limitations? So they said, if an entrepreneur started the business with no clear sense of purpose or direction, no marketing strategy, and no idea of which employees or to recruit, then its chances of success would be much reduced. So it is important for a business to have a business plan, for entrepreneurs to have a business plan. Without a business plan, it is impossible for a business. The likelihood of a business to succeed is lower. So what are the limitations of a business plan? Even a detailed business plan does not guarantee a successful business. In fact, it could create a false sense of certainty in business owners. They might rely on so much on the plan that they overlook the fact that it is based on forecasts and predictions. So the first problem about a business plan is that it makes owners of the business to lose sight of the reality because because if the business plan looks good, it might overwhelm them to the extent that they forgot that it is just a prediction. It is just an estimate. It is not the reality. And that might become a setback. The business plan must be detailed and supported by evidence such as market research. If it is not, then the prospective creditor and investors can delay in making a finance decision until the plan is brought up to the required standard. Another problem about a business plan is that if it is not convincing enough, investors might not be willing to put up finance. The third one, the plan might lead entrepreneurs to be inflexible. If the dynamic business world throws up new opportunities that are not in the plan, this could be rejected. This could mean that options for future profits and growth are rejected. The best business plan allow for some flexibility as external events changes. Another problem about a business plan is that a business plan might not allow a business to be flexible because flexibility means adapting to dynamism in the market. And if entrepreneurs wants to rely mostly on their business plan, changes, adaptability might be difficult. And if they are unable to adapt, and that means the likelihood of the business to make profit or to gain more customers in the future becomes reduced as a result of that. So this ends enterprise and chapter 1 of business AS level. In the next class, we're going to start with chapter 2, business structure. Thank you and stay tuned.